Welcome back to ESPN League Central as we head into round 24 of the NRL season, the pointy end of the year. Shane Flanagan, how are you, mate?
I'm great. Great to be back. Really looking forward to this weekend. Can it be better than last week? I'm not quite sure.
Jimmy, how are we doing?
Doing fantastic, thanks, Guru. Look, we had a magnificent round of football, headlined by that game over the pond and the Battle of Brisbane. Did that actually happen? Was that half-time score for real?
Not the craziest thing we've seen from the Brisbane Broncos in the last year, but right up there with it. Mate, you mentioned over the pond there. For me, the haka that the New Zealand Warriors put on the other day, that was incredible. I thought just as a whole, Indigenous round, it ticked every box we could have possibly asked for. But that haka, that really stood out to me. Shane, what was the highlight for you?
Well, I don't know if it's a highlight. It was young Aston Ward taking the kick from the sideline. A big kick. He's played well all year. He's had a fantastic year. And he tears his hamstring, and not a little one by the looks of it. He had to be helped off. So while it's something I've never ever seen before, and I'm sure we don't want to see it too often, poor Aston Ward, he's gone for the year.
Yeah, I've had a shocker there. Definitely not a highlight out for the rest of the year. So I want to wish Ashton all the very best. Jimmy, what was the highlight? What was the thing that caught your eye this weekend?
Yeah, what caught my eye was it was in the Dogs against the Roosters game, and it was the Jacob Carraz try, but it was the things that were happening in and around the ruck before. We've got the vision on the screen. You can see Lindsay Collins is called out by the referees he's not square at marker. So he allows the Bulldogs number 9 to skip through. Bailey Hayward takes advantage, not a known runner from dummy half, splits them through the middle. Carraz 2-on-1 over the post. Now look, the Roosters will be identifying that. That is not acceptable. Lindsay Collins is a rep front rower. He knows better. Like maybe it's a 6 again thing, but look, I'd go as far as to say, as Coach Robinson will be practicing that, because what he's got to do is make the tackle and concede the 6 again.
Well, Jimmy, you talk about the Roosters. It happened a long time ago too. Jason Kalis in a grand final was about 10 or 15 metres out from the try line. Quick play the ball. He could have tackled, I can't remember who the dummy half was, but he could have tackled him and he went straight through and scored a try in a grand final.
You know, I know about that because Jason Kalis played with me at St Helens. Daniel Anderson was the coach and he got brought up a number of occasions. If you're a middle, make the tackle, concede the penalty, because you don't want to be like JC.
Yeah, well, I'm sure the Roosters will have systems and processes in place when they get one marker. The system is that one marker folds back and the 2 defenders each side of the ruck just fold in, or the whole line starts to fold in. It just happened too quickly. As you said, he's not a known runner from dummy half, Bailey Hayward, but he definitely pulled their pants down that time.
Oh, didn't he? Just, and that is something that teams will go to a default 1 marker position. Okay, well, if I'm in a single marker, I know to retreat. My A's, tighten up. But obviously, there was a bit of confusion there. But fundamentally, just make the tackle, concede the 6 again.
Boys, the biggest talking point of the week so far, Brian To'o announced on Monday joining the PNG Chiefs. He's the 6th player that has officially signed. James Graham, your live reaction to this one?
It was incredible, wasn't it? Really snuck under the radar. Firstly, you've got to say what a coup it is. Signing Jerome Luai, because he has been an active recruiter in this. Best pals from Penrith, got him over the line. He was first to go. He was first to jump. And then others have recognised, well, if Luai's going to go, if it's good enough for him, it's certainly good enough for me. And where the PNG Chiefs sit now, at this stage in their journey towards the debutant season in 2028, if they'd have had no players by now, we'd still be excited about the prospect of November 1 and who they bring in. They've got 6 top quality players already. They are so far ahead of the game.
He's 006. We're all waiting to see who 007 is. Could it be Nathan Cleary, Shane?
Oh, well, it definitely could be. I don't think it will be. I don't think Nathan, he's going to earn a decent amount of money wherever he goes. And, for me, I hope he stays at Penrith. With Brian To'o, I think he's probably been one of the most consistent wingers over the last 10 years. He's probably been underpaid. So good luck to him. If he goes there in the back end of he's 30 plus. He goes there at the back end of the year and earns some money. He's still going to be a really good player for the PNG Chiefs for the next couple of years.
I've got to ask you, Shane. So they've already got Johnson.
Yep.
They've got To'o. Lomax is in there. Is he a centre?
Well, the way it looks like, Alex is going to be on one and Brian's going to be on the other. So a new coach might have to have a tough conversation. Or he's changed. He's going to play centre now. But anyway, Zach can play
Sorry,
both.
Flan, I just couldn't help myself.
You always...
On Lomax, is there any chance he could be the fullback for this side potentially? I assume AJ, you have to play him on the wing. Toto, you have to play him on the wing. I wonder if there could be the opportunity to see Lomax play fullback.
Zach could definitely play fullback. I think he's more suited to fullback than he is to centre. For me, his best position is on the wing. On the right wing, he can play both, but I think his best position... he's strong, he's powerful, he bring the ball back, he's good under the high ball. And that's all the strengths I saw from him, and that's why I said to him, you go and play on the wing, mate. And then, he's played representative football since, and I'm not saying it's from my decision, because he had to nail down and practice those skills and have a look at his game, what he needed to work on. The modern-day fullback role is a little bit different, that the line organisation is such a big part of it. And that is not about being fit or being strong. It's about having good spatial awareness and understanding of numbers at the post. It's so quick. Should I be in the line? Should I be out of the line? Are they going to kick? Who's got the football? It is a big job, and it's... Zach could do it, but he's going to have to change his skill set and his mindset over the next 12 months.
Great news for the Penrith Panthers this week. It looks like Isaiah Yeo, he will not be ruled out for the entire year. We're hoping to see him back at some point. I do wonder, boys, with him missing over the next few weeks, we're still not entirely sure if he will return. In a world where he doesn't, James Graham, could the Panthers still win this competition?
Absolutely. I think they've got the ready-made replacement in Lindsay Smith. If you actually watch Lindsay Smith's game as a front rower, he plays a very similar style to Isaiah Yeo, but probably doesn't have that flexibility to alter the receives per run ratio. So Isaiah Yeo, that receives per run ratio, maybe 1 in 3 would be a pass, where Lindsay Smith, maybe it's 1 in 5 as a pass. Now I expect to see that increase the frequency of his ball playing. No doubt Isaiah will be missed, not just what he brings with the football, the positions he gives the ball to Nathan Cleary, the way he manipulates the ruck. You start second guessing yourself and go and put pressure on Nathan. Isaiah takes the space in front of him. But look, Penrith Panthers, obviously a better side with him in. They've still got some great players to come back. Mitch Kenny comes back. Dylan Edwards obviously will wait. I still think Penrith's biggest issue is figuring out the 6.
It has to be Cogger. I don't think Ivan would make a change so late in the season.
It's not a rest issue.
I don't think
I know
it
he's
is.
been named, so there's no. We're just going to give Blaze a spell. You think we need to pull this lever now?
Well, you look last time when Cogger went on in the grand final. And it just relieved Nathan, and that's when Nathan stood up and just put the game to bed in the grand final. I feel that Cogger takes a lot of pressure off Nathan to ball play and set up and get into right field positions, and it's not all on Nathan. Without Isaiah there, I think Cogger is a must, because he's just an organising, he's a good talker, he's level-headed, he's got a good kicking game. So I just think now that Isaiah's out for this next, hopefully it's only a month, because we want to see our best players play in the semi-finals. If it is, Cogger's a must for me. He didn't play last week only because his wife was having a baby. He'll be back there this week, and I would expect him to be there for the rest of the year.
I think the writing's on the wall for Blaze, boys. Obviously, Jack Cogger didn't play birth of a child over the weekend, but they put Jack Cole there instead of Blaze. They were both in the squad. I don't think we're going to see Blaze again this year in that 5'8" role.
I agree. As I said, I think Cogger's just a dead set certainty. He helps Nathan. He's a good defender, good kicking game. And Blaze just has had a bad month. And to change it at this time of the year, like if anyone knows about playing semi-finals and getting your side ready for a grand final, it's Ivan. And I just don't see him making a big change in his halves so late in the season if he wasn't going to stick with it.
Shane, from a coaching perspective, I'm a fan. I sit back, I watch Isaiah Yeo, captain Penrith, New South Wales, Australia, lifting trophies, doing great things. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of Cameron Smith. He's great, but I think the average fan can't really assess what makes him so great. From a coaching point of view, what makes him the sort of player that he is?
Isaiah?
Yeah.
As James said, that he's got so many strings to his bow. Like, he's a big man, so one-on-one he's hard to handle. Yeah, a lot of his carries, if you come off the line sideways, he'll just rip your inside shoulder off. So that's one of his things, and then he can post line, he can get a quick play of the ball and they can play off the back of it. If you defend well against him, obviously he's got really close support and he'll get that other forward one-on-one with the opposition. Or if they do a really good job and we commit 4 players on on Isaiah and a ball carrier, he'll play out the back to Nathan. So he's got a lot of strings to his bow. As I said, still a big man, got good footwork. He is hard to handle. He's got all for a ball-playing middle. He's the classic example of it, and he handles the ball well. And guess what? He can tackle as well, so it's a bonus.
Sort of you and your Bulldogs teammates in the early 2010s that sort of started this trend of the ball playing forwards there. Yo's just taken it to a new level the last few years.
Oh, hasn't he just? And Shane touched on it beautifully. So Isaiah Yo typically 4 options. And as a defender, it's hard to predict because it's always the same shape that he presents. It's the same formation. It's the same body shape. But as a defender, you move first, and then Isaiah goes with one of those 4 options. It's in behind the ruck if there's an area to exploit. It's a skip to B if that's on. It's a short pass to another one of his middles, or it's out the back to Nathan. So he's got options up his sleeve every single time he carries the football. A lot of credit needs to go to his teammates that make him look so good.
Gents, the rugby league soap opera doesn't sleep, never sleeps, and this week no different. Corey Horsburgh v Ricky Stuart this week, a huge talking point. We're going to throw now to some footage from Ricky Stuart's press conference.
Can you put it down to anything of this not being able to finish it off?
Yeah, it should have been 28 all. And there's a brain explosion. I mean, we got a penalty. There's a brain explosion, and that's the opportunity.
So you feel that because obviously the sim meeting was obviously...
Yeah, of course it was. There was one last week or the week before with Alex Twal. Everyone knows that. You're not allowed to do that. It's in the rules. It's been in the rules for the last many, many years.
All right, Jimmy, Ricky didn't miss this week, and as it turns out, he hasn't named Corey Horsburgh this week. Did you expect that?
Absolutely. It was a bake and a half, wasn't it, from Coach Stuart in the post-game press conference. A really frustrated figure. I think there's a bit of a snowball effect here because I think Ricky Stuart knows if last year's Canberra Raiders team were playing in this year's comp, they win the thing.
I think it's a very fair point.
I do, because there's no Brisbane in there. There's no Melbourne in there. Penrith have had this injury to Isaiah Yo. He would be looking at that minimum grand final. Minimum. And he would back his team to win that if last year's Raiders team were there. But unfortunately, they're not for a number of reasons. And all the things he said about Corey Horsburgh, it's not his first offence. He's conceded penalty after penalty for that side. And, I imagine he's had multiple conversations with Corey Horsburgh about it, and he's cracked and he's put him on display. Look, it's a horrible feeling as a player. You feel so isolated, but ultimately, it's cost his team a slim opportunity to play finals.
Shane, as a fan, I think we're always consumed with the decisions coaches are making between, how the team is picked, 1,000 other things. I guess balancing relationships must be one of the most testing things about the job.
Yeah, it is hard, but as you go through, you come across a lot of different characters, different personalities, and Ricky is very good with him. I work with him at the Roosters and at the Sharks. To get someone to go to war, which I know it's not war rugby league, but it's a tough, hard game. He rallies and he gets his players all on the same page, and you go out and play for Ricky Stuart. I agree with James. He would have had many conversations with Corey Horsburgh about his discipline, because it has hurt them many, many times. We know he's not named in the side this weekend. He won't be there next year. Ricky, even in this game, last year, James spoke about it, they were so close to getting to the big dance, and who knows what happens when you get there. And the whole pre-season, that would have hurt Ricky and his team, and they would have had this burning desire to go one more step further. It hasn't been a good year for him this year, we know that. But even at that point when that penalty was, when that indiscretion happened, they could have a shot for goal to make it 28 all. And then he comes up with the slap, which not just lets Ricky down, it lets all his teammates down. It lets all the supporters down, all their sponsors. They've worked so hard since last November to get to where they are, and they just see it flash straight in front of them by a silly reaction from one of their players.
Also, it's pointless, Flano. It doesn't do anything.
It doesn't do anything.
As an opposition player, you laugh.
It was a handbag.
You know what? And we can... The game has gone past that being, back in my day. That is a sin-binning. And it was great and refreshing to see Ricky Stuart confirm that and not go after the refs because it was the right call. And you know what? If you're going to be aggressive, that's fine, but at least do something properly.
Well, exactly.
I think
Get
if
back
Ricky
on the line.
If Ricky Stuart was there and Corey Hawes was flown out the line and got it wrong, I think he'd cop
accept it.
But it's just such a stupid situation.
Agree.
That is so controllable that amounted to nothing.
Boys, it's time for Fact or Fiction, as always, here on ESPN League Central. We haven't saved $1, boys. We're in the big leagues here. Our first one, the top 8 is set. Jimmy, I'm going to go fact. I think your Canterbury Bulldogs, unfortunately, they're going to miss the 8. I think South Sydney are going to hold on. The top 8 is set. Shane?
I'm with you. I'm going fact. I think it's just a little bit too late for the Dogs. They've hit form, but a little bit too late. And I know James Graham is going to go the opposite.
Yeah, well, look, I've gone fiction. Go the Doggies. Look at that, Guru. Look at that. Look, the Dogs are in with a chance. It is going to be tough. Of course it is, but I think this Friday night's game could be the momentum turner. Look, they should have beaten the Roosters, one of the best teams in the comp, backing them to get the win this week and marching to September.
Our next one, the PNG Chiefs can win the premiership in their first season. For me, boys, I'm going fiction. I love what they're building at the moment. They've got some star players there. We haven't really signed an established forward yet. We're still waiting to see who the halfback will be. An inexperienced coach when it comes to NRL level. I think there's too much water to go under this bridge. Fiction for me. Shane?
Yeah, fiction for me. If they make the top 8, that's an outstanding start. Just to make the top 8. Depth in the NRL is just so important. Yes, they've got 6 good signings. I'd like to see some big, tough middle forwards there, but there's no chance they're going to win the comp first up.
I got fact. You don't like it, Flana? Well, they've got Matty Lees. You watch Matty Lees come over to this competition, one of the best middle forwards in England. Look, I'm not looking at it necessarily from who they need to acquire. I'm looking at it from a point of view that they shouldn't lose at home. That should bank them enough wins, then pick up a few away. They're going to be in the top 4. We talk about the potential momentum that the Warriors are going to establish. Look, I can certainly see them going deep into finals. The Warriors, of course, if they play at home, same with the PNG Chiefs.
What about our little hot take merchant down there? I am absolutely loving this off the back fence. Our next one, the Dragons will make the 8 next year. Oh, they've let me down so many times, but I'm going fact, boys. I love what the Dragons are doing at the moment, this young forward pack. I think all the potential holes they've got in this squad right now, I think they've solved all those problems. I don't think they'll be top 4, but I think they can make it into the top 8. Shane?
Yeah, I've gone fact. We look at Newcastle. It is possible to come from down the bottom of the table and play semi-finals the following year. The recruits, as you said, are outstanding, but they're not going to win the comp next year. So it's like the PNG. They'll improve without a doubt.
I've gone fiction. And I say this because I don't think there's been a worse time to finish outside the 8 and have aspirations to play in the 8. And I say that because of the Melbourne Storm situation and the Brisbane Broncos situation, plus the Canberra Raiders situation. There are 3 teams that I basically can't afford to miss a game.
But are the Brisbane Broncos going to be a better football team on paper next year?
Well, they have to be, Flano. On paper, but on grass, they have to be. Or the noise that's coming. And they are underperforming massively. So they need a response.
Speaking of noise, our next one, the Cronulla Sharks are pretenders. I have gone fiction. They have been a top 4 side the last few years, only just fell short in the last game last year in Melbourne. I don't know if they'll win it, but I think saying they are pretenders is false. Give me fiction on that one. Shane?
I'm going fiction, but it could be a fact. I can't make my mind up. What I saw on the weekend, they just didn't turn up. And, they need their halves to play well. Their two halves are sensational when they're on. But when they're not on, no one else seems to stand up. And they've got some injury problems at the moment and suspension this weekend. I'm thinking fiction, maybe more than fact, but I'll just give it a little bit of fiction because I love the club.
I've gone fiction. Look, I am not taking into account last week's performance or result. They've got that in them, the Sharks, when they're supposed to win games. Go back to that Roosters game last year. Roosters were getting players out the concreters to come and play for them. The game that was unlosable, and they did. That is the Sharks for you. They have that in their arsenal. They have that in their locker. Those poor performances, but ultimately, when the tough games come, I'm expecting them to stand up.
Now, friend of the show, Brent Reid, he's reporting that Latrell Mitchell is set to return in round 26. Personally, I'll believe it when I see it. But our next one, Latrell Mitchell makes the Bunnies contenders. I'm going fiction, boys. I think there has been too many bad habits that have creeped into the South Sydney Rabbitohs game. I think that even if they get Latrell back, they can't seem to keep anyone else on the field. I think they can't win from outside the top four, in my opinion. I'm going fiction with South Sydney. Shane?
I've gone fact. Latrell is an elite of elite players. And if he can just get back in and give him a week or two to get some form, if they're in the semi-finals and Latrell's in form, they're a chance.
I have gone fact.
You were stuck on F for a while there, weren't you?
Match winner.
Match
winner. Now, that's what you're going to need in finals. We've seen some players get really hot and carry teams. Latrell knows if South's going to win the comp, he's going to have to emulate some of those remarkable runs that individual players have been on, and he's got the capability.
And also, James, you see him sitting in the dressing room and you're one of the 16 other players in the dressing room. That gives you confidence and belief that you can get the job done.
He has that ability to go on one of those Walsh, Hayne, Barber runs.
Yep.
Justin Holbrook is Coach of the Year. I am going fact. When you look at the Newcastle Knights and how they finished last season and sort of what the expectations going into this year, I think for me anyway, boys, I looked at that forward pack at the start of the year and went, they are one or two injuries away from falling apart. They've had numerous injuries and they're still hanging in there with the best of them, the Newcastle Knights. They will play final footy this year. I think he has to be the Dally M Coach of the Year. Shane?
Yeah, I've gone fact, but I've also gone, I'd love this to be whoever wins the comp. Like we see Ivan Cleary numerous times. He went 4 years in a row and wasn't actually Coach of the Year. I think Justin's done an outstanding job this year. Do I think Newcastle will win the comp? No. But I'd love the Coach of the Year to be whoever holds the trophy up.
I think it is beyond ridiculous that in the NRL we give Coach of the Year away before anything is decided. I think it's ridiculous. Yep. Surely it has to do, like when you do things has to matter, and what your team achieves at the back end of the season, it has to count.
You know what we could do? When they present the trophy at the end of the game, they announce the Coach of the Year. He gets up there as well. We know who it is, obviously, whoever wins the competition. But they present that trophy to the Coach of the Year at the end of the grand final.
I've gone based off how the award has been received. I hope I've spelt all those words right. I've got fact, 100%, no doubt, no debate. It is Holbrook's all day. The level of improvement in that side, I think it eclipses what Penrith have done. It's what we've expected from Penrith. Now, no doubt that adds to the, look what Penrith have done. We know that. But look, I thought Newcastle Knights were in some strife this year. I thought there was a lot of pressure coming with the signing of Dylan Brown. They have been so impressive, and they've changed their style, which is all down to their coach.
Our last one, the WARS atmosphere in New Zealand is the best in the NRL. I'm going fact on this one. If anyone's gone fiction down there, we're going to have some words. I can't hear anything else. Shane?
Fact. I think the lighting, the atmosphere, when they come out, and the haka on the weekend was just outstanding. So well done, Warriors.
Don't you do it.
Fact.
Good.
I'm with you, Guru. Looking for, how good is it? They are building something there that was electric.
All right, boys, time to guide our loyal viewers through the round that is incoming. We have got the Penrith Panthers hosting the Roosters on Thursday night. Game of the week for me. Give me the Penrith Panthers in this one. Shane, how do you see it playing out?
Well, could be the game of the year, let alone game of the week. I think it's really important about the two fullbacks. Are they going to play? If they do, I'm going for the Roosters. I think they've just got too much strike.
I think there's so much riding on this game. It's more than 2 points. I think the Roosters' final hopes could be pinned down on the way the performance goes. I think they need a performance that gives them enough evidence to say that we can beat the Penrith Panthers. But look, for me, the Panthers system defensively, no doubt the Roosters are building. I think they're going all in on this one, but I just think that Panthers defensive system will be too difficult to break down.
Yeah, I think if Dylan Edwards does end up playing in this game, I just think it'll be too much. Give me the Panthers in that one. The Manly Seagulls are potentially the longest flight home from Perth of all time last weekend. They're hosting the Dolphins at Brookie. I can't tip the Seagulls at the moment, boys. Give me the Fin. Shane?
Yeah, I'm going the Fin. They'll just have too many points in them. They're, after that big defeat to the Sharks, they've slowly got their act together. I think they can see the end of the road and then they'll start again in semi-finals. Way too good for the Eagles, who haven't been really disappointing. And, you know, I know the Fosball thing's finished, but it's more so they've lost 5 in a row.
Fosball began, didn't it, with a sneaky win up at KO Stadium against the Dolphins. Look, I think the Dolphins get their revenge. I want to see a lot more defensively from the Dolphins. Coach Christian Wolf, I've worked under him before, and he wants his teams to be a defensively renowned team. Now, with the players that they've got, obviously the attacking strength, which their feature, he knows they need to fix up defensively. It starts this weekend.
And also no Tom Trbojevic still. So, you know, whether he comes back at all this year, who knows?
Bulldogs v Bunnies, the main game on Friday night. I think a must-win game for both clubs, in particular the Canterbury Bulldogs, back against the wall. I think they'll win this one. Shane, who have you got?
I'm going the Bunnies. I don't know why. I just think the Bulldogs have got a lot to play for. They've got to continue to win. Probably the main reason that I'm going for the Bunnies is turn the man to my left.
Yeah, look, it's a Dogs victory for me. I thought they held their own against the Roosters. And ultimately, it was a couple of lapses in concentration at the back with the back three that cost them. For me, they should have enough to trouble Souths, both with and without the football, but it promises to be a great game. Recent rivalry has developed with these two clubs over the past couple of decades, and expect there to be some fireworks on Friday evening. Looking forward to the Dogs just landing a blow against the Souths.
I think that rivalry is mostly your fault, by the way, just quietly.
Potentially.
You've played your role. Let's move to Saturday. We've got the Sharkies and the Raiders going head-to-head from Shark Park. I like the Cronulla Sharks in this one. I think they'll be looking for a big bounce back here. Shane, who have you got?
Oh, well, this is a tricky one. The Sharks, after last week's performance, Craig Fitzgibbon definitely would have got him in this week and said to him, we can't have another lapse like we did against the Dragons. If we are serious about playing semi-finals, at home, they should just get it done. But I know Ricky Stuart, after what happened last week, he would have his foot on the throat of the Raiders players and then want them to go out and finish their season on a high. Sharks at home, probably just get me over the line.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I've got to give a big shout out to Simi Sasangi, who is playing busted, is postponing post-season surgery in order to keep playing with Josh Papali'i. He misses out this week. Those are the stories that go under the radar. A lot of players playing in similar situations to him, but I've got Sharks in a very close one.
This Saturday is a nightmare for tipping, by the way, boys. Doesn't get any easier. Eels v Cowboys. I'm going to go North Queensland, but I'm not confident. Very similar to the Sharkies game. What are your thoughts, Shane?
Yeah, I'm going with the Cowboys. I thought last week they were, from the big defeat they had a couple of weeks ago, they've come back. They've got their stuff together. Defensively, they were pretty sound. Drinkwater at the back is hard to handle. The Eels, their fullback out for the rest of the year, which is a big loss. I just think they'll have too many points in them for the Eels.
Yeah, Cowboys for me in this one. I want to see them improve, though. They looked a nervous side last week against the Gold Coast Titans. They looked on edge. You could see it was affecting the quality of the distribution of the football. So, yeah, the Cowboys, look, there's still a chance of the top four if they focus, if they dial up a little bit defensively. It looks like they put that game against the Roosters behind them. It's now to slip a few gears and march towards September.
The next game, we've got the Brisbane Broncos hosting the New Zealand Warriors. The Warriors coming off the most impressive victory of their season. I believe they get the job done here. Once again, I don't quite know how to get a read on the Broncos week to week, but give me the Warriors. Shane, how do you see this one playing out?
Well, if you watch the Broncos' first 20 minutes or 30 minutes last weekend, it was like the Broncos of old. It was like of last year. They were strong, they were powerful, they scored tries, they were outstanding, and then all of a sudden they just fell to pieces defensively. Yes, the Dolphins got their act into gear and got a bit of possession and so on, but I just think the Wars, the confidence that they've got at the moment, their belief, they've just got to win this football game and they'll find a way.
Beware what happens after you beat Penrith. They put so much into that performance. It was clearly an emotional evening. Now they come over to face a Brisbane side that, as we've seen, can get hot. I do think the Warriors will have enough, but just beware how taxed they are after that huge performance against the Penrith Panthers last week.
We turn our attention to Newcastle on Sunday, where the Knights host the Gold Coast Titans. Give me the Newcastle Knights. I believe Bradman Best and Phoenix Crossland back into this side. I think they'll be too good for the Titans. Shane, thoughts?
Knights all the way. Last week, very, very good. At home, they've only got 1 or 2 more games at home this season. They'll be looking forward to semi-finals and getting everything right. We spoke about their coach of the year, we all believe. Knights, just on this run, they won't take their foot off the pedal. They'll get it done. The Titans, disappointing, real disappointing for me.
I've loved the Knights this year. Classy and consistent. The gap between the best and the worst is so small. Even in defeat, they look like they can compete. They look like they can get the victory. For me, they will have far too much against the Titans. I can see the Titans, look, they'll throw the ball around. It's great matchup, two sides that do throw that pill around, but the Knights will have far, far too much.
We finished the round with the West Tigers coming off a bye, hosting the St George Illawarra Dragons, coming off a great win last week. Give me the Red V in this one. I think they'll be too good. I think this is going to be a tough end of the season.
Are you right?
Yeah, I'm good. Can you believe how confident I am on the Red V? I'm all in. What are your thoughts?
Good on you. The Tigers off a bye have been out of the news a little bit this week, but I just think the Dragons, the belief and the way they played last week will run into this week. They beat the Tigers last time they played them. Completely different. The Tigers have made a few changes to their football team, but the Dragons are going to trot the same football team out. The Couchman comes back. One of the Couchmans comes back from suspension, or HIA, sorry. So the Dragons, nearly the best possible team they can put on the park, and I hope they get it done.
I backed the Tigers to beat the Penrith Panthers earlier in the year. That didn't go so well. I promised I'd never back them again, but I think it's a must-win game for them.
You're in.
I'm going to back the Tigers. 6 again. I'm back in.
I'll tell you what, boys, as you just mentioned, there was a weird week with the West Tigers on the bye. I feel like I haven't seen them in a few weeks. It's been very quiet over there. I kind of missed the drama all of a sudden. Boys, we've done it again. Another cracking episode. I look forward to seeing you once again here next week on Disney Plus for another episode of ESPN League Central.